So both my grandparents, Irene and John, they came from deep farming backgrounds. Started as a passion project, just clearing land and planting trees each and every year in the 60s. And then in 1974, 50 years ago, they established Yetta Road Tree Farm. My grandfather doing it, my dad followed in his footsteps. I was in my dad's shadows, followed in his footsteps. Now I'm third generation.
I promised my father that I would take it over. He saw that I wanted to.
This place is the glue that ties everything together for him.
One Wednesday night, my grandpa John looked me in the eyes and said, "Tommy, you're the one." It's a place that I was raised at, and just having my kids hopefully take this over one day would mean the world to us. So both my grandparents, Irene and John, they came from deep farming backgrounds. Started as a passion project, just clearing land and planting trees each and every year in the 60s. And then in 1974, 50 years ago, they established Yetta Road Tree Farm.
John was kind of a tough old man. Irene was a sweet, tiny little hardworking wife, but she had this backbone of, she raised all those boys. She had to be. That woman, you know, she ran a tight ship, and John did too.
Yeah, John was always very stern, but also a happy guy. He always had his pipe in.
The old man would come out here and he would check your gloves to make sure you're either bleeding or you have just dirt from getting low on the mower so they don't come by and hit the tree stumps.
My dad really enjoyed farming. He'd come home from work. He worked at the city Groton Highway Department as a superintendent. He had more joy out here working on the farm. He'd come home, change his clothes, and he would come out.
Every time I would come up to the farm, I could guarantee that my grandfather would be out here working in the field, smoking his corncob pipe with vanilla tobacco. But just watching that guy work, his fingers to the bone each and every day, not just because it was his work ethic, but his passion, is something that I saw growing up my whole life. I watched my dad follow in his footsteps, and now, you know, I'm taking this journey myself. He was really a role model.
And more of his dream was, we can expand this, we can expand the business. So I started helping expand the business, planting trees. We cleared land and planted more trees, and they were so happy about that.
Quite an amazing thing to be able to see a business celebrating 50 years. Something that was started by Tommy's grandpa, John and Irene Umrysz, now still being run by my father-in-law, Lee, and having someone like Tommy that's been there since he was little, planting trees. We've got pictures of him planting trees with his mom in a sports bra and his grandma in the background passing over a little seedling.
I promised my father that I would take it over. He saw that I wanted to. And then he asked me several times, "You would run this as a farm. I want to see it run as a tree farm." My dad and my mother. And so I've said that to Tommy too, that he wants to run it as a tree farm. And I trust that he would do that. My wife, Dina, she wanted to do it. She had big dreams.
In the 80s, when Dina was talking to Irene about wanting to expand and making more of the shop than just the regular basic wreaths and the trees, she had a vision. And at some point, she wanted to have a gift shop.
She was the one that wanted to shop and wanted to really push it.
Dina loved to make things. She loved to be creative. She loved to be with Lee. And he was here, so was she.
My sister was just an outgoing, really warm, nice person. She was nice to everybody. And I think everybody actually really enjoyed her company.
So honoring family traditions is very important. You know, looking back at my grandma's visions, my grandfather's visions, when my mom was still alive, you know, her visions. My mom and dad together were the power couple. You know, my dad was the muscle. My mom was the one with all the ideas. She had many ideas that she wanted to fulfill. Unfortunately, she did lose her life to breast cancer when I was young, at the age of 5. You know, I think carrying on some of her visions is very important.
Catherine, or Sissy as she's called, absolutely loved every single one of her children. But Dina was her heart, that was her girl. And Dina would light up a room, and she had a head for business.
But she was like the rose, like she was just gorgeous and nicer than she was beautiful. I mean, just a lovely person. And she, you know, married into the Umrysz family. We thought, what a perfect fit.
Dina was a good one. Dina loved this farm.
Over these years, I've heard so many different stories about her character, the type of person that she was, and her visions for the farm. About 5 years ago, the shop here was only called the shop, and kind of scratched our heads, and someone asked me, well, what's the name of it? And I said, well, we should probably name it Irene's Shop and name it after Tom's grandma. But it was Lee who said, no, this was always going to be Dina's shop.
John and Irene, looking at the direction that the tree farm is going into now, and the fact that Lee wants to pass the tradition down to his son, is something that he would be well pleased with. Tommy grew up on this farm. John helped him along with the different things, even though he was little. John wanted this to continue. He wanted Lee to continue. And I know with Tommy being his only child and only son, he wanted to see that continue too. And I'm sure they're both looking down very proud. And it's a hard job and it's a lot of work for a short season. And you've got to be committed.
So I would say the turning point for me is one Wednesday night, my grandpa John looked me in the eyes and said, Tommy, you're the one. You know, he had said it at times before while he was working, while I was growing up, you know, you would be the one to take this over, 3rd generation. But it was that night that I just got that feeling in my soul that this is something that I wanted to do.
When I first met Tommy about 10 years ago, one of the first things he shared with me was this. He was born and raised in Groton, and he would never leave. His family had a tree farm, and that was something that he was going to do and be a part of until the day he dies. I took a big gulp. I was living in Boston at the time. I didn't know much about Groton. And I knew at that moment, I appreciated his transparency, was that for us to be together, that the tree farm would not only be something that I would have to accept, it would be something that I would embrace and hopefully enhance. My vision and passion for the farm has really fed off of my husband's. For him, being at the farm, being here, I understand why he's so passionate. My husband is a family man. When his mother passed away when he was 5, he was raised by his father, but his grandparents. When his grandma passed a couple years ago, I felt more than ever how important this tree farm was. This place is the glue that ties everything together for him and who he is as a person.
My grandfather doing it, my dad followed in his footsteps. I was in my dad's shadows, followed in his footsteps. Now I'm 3rd generation. I'm actually the youngest board member of the Connecticut Christmas Tree Growers Association. And one of the saddest things we see is that tree farming is a dying breed. People are running into the issues where kids, the next generation, is just not taking it over. So I'm very honored and proud to keep this going forward.
Tommy has grew up in the farm. He wants to be a part of it. He understands the value of work. He has a drive to continue to make it successful and to include his kids in it.
Everything has changed so much in the last couple of years for the better. And it's just amazing to see. They get stuff done, they have brand new ideas, so they don't just stay stagnant with a lot of the stuff that they do that is working.
5 years ago, we made some major changes with the care of the trees, health-wise, and along with that, we made changes inside the shop.
So my grandfather passed in 2015, and it was a tough time for not only my father, the family, ourselves, but the farm. It was, you could say, neglected in a way where the trees didn't get the attention that they needed. More pests started popping up. Our processes I don't want to say fell apart, but we just were a little bit slower and a little bit behind on them. So that's when I really took a leadership role in the science behind the trees. I reached out to the lead scientists on the board of the Connecticut Christmas Tree Growers Association and really just dialed in the pesticides, the fertilizer, doing soil samples, really just trying to take more of a scientific approach, which is something I had personally never done in the past, but it was very important to see the trees improve. And we have over the last 9 years, we've come a very long way and our trees look phenomenal now.
So the changes that have stood out to me most on the farm has been the quality in the trees and the organization involving the planting and the maintenance of the trees as well. Tom's done a really good job of making it very scheduled and neat and organized, and I've seen the trees go from healthy before but now like flourishing, and as you can see looking around, they are very green, very healthy.
I think my sister would have a big smile on her face and she'd be very happy with how Tommy has turned out. I mean, he's done a wonderful job.
There's been more changes to it with more photo opportunities, more activities, and the donuts, the hot chocolate, the candy canes, saxophone Santa. Those are all the things that have been brought into the farm that children are looking forward to. And even if people have an artificial tree, they still come here to make the memories with their kids here on the farm. And it's a wonderful thing, generation after generation.
When families come to the farm, generally speaking, you might have a grandpa and a grandma, and then you have the parents, you have the kids, you have the dog. So you might have 5, 6, 7, 8 people come that purchase one tree, maybe. Some people just get wreaths. But my goal was, how can we create an experience? Right? So much of our lives has been dictated by this convenience of Amazon or sitting at the computer. But there's something magical about being on this land, being able to see the trees, finally being in the spirit of Christmas. It's really special. So my goal was, how can we provide a little something for everyone? So that's where the idea sort of evolved with, well, if people are hungry, maybe we could have par 4 Dude's Donuts, have donuts and some snacks and hot chocolate. Everyone loves taking pictures, the Instagram photo booths, and being able to really offer more inside the shop as well too, from local different makers, and being able to provide sort of this still like nostalgia feeling of back in the day, with some modern touches. And I think there's for me, I'm a very visual person, so when you walk into the shop, it tells a story. So when you walk in, we still have the plastic shields, but you can see wreaths literally being made, greens being cut. You can see this beautiful wall of different ribbons and assortments and picks where you can customize your wreaths. You can see handmade ornaments from over 25 different local vendors in the area. And you check out, and now we have a credit card machine. So there's a lot of changes and improvements we've made while still trying to honor the past. It's like this pendulum swing, right? This equilibrium that's trying to be created. How do you move forward but still maintain some of the tradition?
I think, looking at the farm and seeing how things have changed, and even the Umrysz home, and how now it's become Tommy, who was this little boy on the tractor, and now he's like a dad and a husband. And I think it's just such a testament to a wonderful family, and life goes on, and they embrace, the good fortune that they have in having this beautiful piece of land and this business.
You have your immediate family, and I often consider Tom and Pantay, the entire Umrysz family, part of my family. We've been living here in the area for 7 years with them, and they've become more than just close friends. They've been people we can sounding board off of, friends, co-workers. So it's really, really nice for them to be part of our family.
My entire life, I've always felt that family doesn't just mean blood. Ever since my dad passed, they really took me in as one of their own.
I would describe them as my new family, like second family. We're very close.
Family is like not only the people you're related to, but the people you come
become close with, like our tree farm family.
It's like we always look forward to Christmas, and not because of the presents. We look forward to the Christmas tree farm. And you know, having the family of it, I've worked with my brother, I've worked with my sister, my mom, I work with my wife now too.
It's just special to have people that you want in your life and that will do anything for you and really support you through the highs and the lows.
So seeing my entire family have one place that can kind of unite everyone, it's special, right? So the Umrysz family, all of you brought us in and made us feel welcome. We don't really consider it working because we enjoy it. Like, our favorite time of year now is when you ask any of us, is tree season. So like, from me and my family, watching our kids learn work ethic, being on time, greeting people, getting to know different types of trades that you can be in, learning about the environment, and all the way to my mom, who does the Transition Academy, and doing community outreach is a huge part of your business. And I feel like it brings everybody together.
Community service has always been such a huge part of my life. I grew up in a single parent household where I witnessed my mom work 3 jobs to be able to make it by. I truly believe that this farm is something special. I think that it is something beautiful, and there's so much good that can come of it. There's so many people within the local community that were in need of help. So came up with this idea of sponsoring children, and then realized that the town of Groton Human Services had an adopt a family program. We decided to take on 50 local kids, and we created little circular ornaments for them with a description of their age and sizes and things that they wanted, and used our farm as a platform for people to take an ornament and to adopt a child.
Families come in, they choose an ornament with a child and what they could get them, and they bring those gifts back in so that these children have something to open on Christmas morning. Yet Our Own Tree Farm also does a community outreach with Academy Point, and we donate wreaths towards the end of the season for them to have to decorate Academy Point to bring in the Christmas spirit.
Me and for my husband, being able to give back is really important. And I remember someone sharing this quote, and it was, "You give where you live." And it's so important, being such a small, tight-knit community, that, you know, we give back in every way that we can. And we're always looking for new ways to grow, to give.
So this farm is a place that I was raised at. It's very important for me to continue this legacy, working alongside my father, having my children alongside me, with my wife, and really just protect this farm. It's a part of me, it's a place that I was raised at, and just having my kids hopefully take this over one day would mean the world to us. Thank you to our tremendous community for 50 years, and here's to 50 more.